പെട്ടെന്നാട്ടെ. Good afternoon, my dear students. We are very sorry that we are a bit late to start today's program thanks to some of the technical glitches. The program starts now. I am sure that you went through the budget analysis presentation yesterday. Thank you very much for some of the very positive comments that I received today. That will definitely function as a great encouragement to us, my team and I myself. So once again thanking you for those people who commented on the program. Please ensure that all of you find some time to make your postings, your comments, your responses against the video, so that we can learn on the job and we can make certain corrections if any required. So, responses are always welcome. So, we shall start without wasting much time. We are discussing the February 3 Hindu. The police used barbed wire, spikes, trenches to cut protest sites. Amazon wins relief as High Court stays future Reliance deal. We shall take one by one. Police use barbed wire, spikes, trenches to cut off protest sites. We know that the farmer strike has reached is for the 71 days the farmers are striking under the winter conditions of Delhi. The government seems to be merciless. Government is sticking to its stand. Government says that what it can do, the best it can do is to postpone the implementation to maximum 1.5 years, but farmers demand complete repeal of all the 3 farm laws enacted by the parliament. So, the standoff between the farmers and the government continues. Now, the government is using all its forces to put pressure on the farmers. Barbed wires, spikes, trenches, all the police are using all they can to put the pressure on the farmers. We do not know what is going to happen. International protests are also coming up from various corners. Soon other democracies will make their protest against or will put pressure on the government. So, we have to, and the parliament is also going on. The parliament will also see protests in support of the farmers. So, we have to wait and see what is going to happen. Amazon wins relief as High Court says stays future Reliance deal. You should understand what this is all about. Listen, Amazon acquires a stake in future coupons in a deal that the e-commerce firm says included a first right of refusal in any stake sale in future retail. August 2020, Future Group announces it has agreed to sell businesses including its retail and wholesale operations to Reliance retail arm. Amazon seeks legal recourse. The Singapore International Arbitration stays the future Reliance deal. Future Group moves court to prevent Amazon from blocking the deal. This was the history. Amazon acquires a stake in the future coupons in a deal that the e-commerce firm says included a first right to refusal in any stake sale in future retail. So, Amazon invested in Future. Future sold their businesses to Reliance. So, that is what is challenged by Amazon in the court. Now, the Delhi High Court has given an interim relief to e-commerce major Amazon by directing Future Retail Limited to maintain status quo. Status quo means what is present now with regard to transfer of its retail assets to Reliance Retail. So, emergency arbitrator EA at the Singapore International Arbitration Center restraining Future Group from taking any steps to transfer the retail assets was enforceable in India. That was the question that was presented before the court. Whether the arbitration court's direction will be valid in India, that was the question that the court looked into, and the court said, court is of the prima facie view that emergency arbitrator has rightly proceeded against respondent number 2 FRL The order dated October 25 is enforceable under section 17(2) under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act the same manner as an order of the court. So it has been a clear cut relief to the Amazon. So it will be fought out in the Indian courts now. Pol Pot, the budget has as an instrument of politics found full play this year. Look, the government was very liberal in providing funds to West Bengal, providing funds to Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Assam. These are the states where elections are going to be held in the year 2021. So all the states, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Assam, the largest to the election going states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Assam, in the budget presented by Finance Minister was unmistakable. The massive outlay of 65,000 crore for the development of NH 66 corridor in Kerala, as well as the announcement of second phase of Kochi Metro and the development of Kochi Fishing Harbour as a commercial hub are the big ticket budget proposals by any standard. 65,000 crore of investment is announced in one single year. That is a big bonus. It really surprised both the ruling and the opposition parties in Kerala. So election largesses are given by the government to woo the voters of the states. So aptly the caption says the budget as an instrument of politics is in full play in this year's budget. Okay, so please read and try to understand. The first question is given to you now. Who among the following is the ousted president of Myanmar? Aung San Suu Kyi, Win Myint, Min Aung Hlaing, Daw Suu, none of these. Yes, Ruchik says Greta Thunberg stands up in support of the farmers. True. Yes, the answer is the second option. Win Myint is the president of Myanmar. Aung San Suu Kyi is a state councillor. She is a state councillor and she cannot contest the presidential election in Myanmar as per the junta dictated constitution that is available in Myanmar now. The army nominates 1/4 of the parliamentary seats. The army nominates 1/4 of the parliamentary seats and retains the important portfolios of defense, internal security and borders. So it is a kind of a puppet republic, a puppet democracy. Myanmar has been under the military rule for very long years, and Aung San Suu Kyi was fighting for democracy in Myanmar. So as per a reconciliation between the military junta and the pro-democracy leaders, in the constitution that was written, it was agreed upon that the army will be allowed to send 1/4 of the total parliamentarians to nominate 1/4 of the parliamentarians to the Myanmar's parliament, and the important portfolios of defense, internal security and borders will be retained by the army. So now we all know that the military has through a coup, military coup, a bloodless coup, toppled the government, and the military itself has taken over the authority, the power and authority in Myanmar. Dao Su is the pet name of Aung San Suu Kyi in Myanmar. Setback in Myanmar. In one swift operation, Myanmar's military establishment has wiped out a decade of country's democratization process. By arresting President Win Myint, State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and the rest of the ruling National League of Democracy. It is National League of Democracy that is ruling in Myanmar. NLD leadership, and declaring military rule under the state of emergency for at least 1 year. General Min Aung Hlaing has made it clear that the military that is in charge, and he is not particularly concerned about the opposition or condemnation of the move. Again, we can expect that major democracies in the world, including India, will put pressure on the new military establishment, ruling establishment in Myanmar, and hopefully democracy will take its seat back in Myanmar very soon. Please read, very important, even from the perspective of the examination. We should know how democracy, a young democracy, was easily toppled in a single shot in a neighboring country of us. More women have antibodies in Delhi. Listen, there are more and more evidence to ensure and understand that virus infections can be stopped only by attaining herd immunity. If you look at the history of virus infections in the world, we can easily understand that it is not through vaccines that the world has been able to control viruses, but it has been only by attaining herd immunity. In Pune, more than 50%, in Delhi, more than 50%, people have already attained herd immunity, and more women have antibodies in Delhi. The presence of antibodies prove that they have already been affected with the disease and they are cleared of it. So, social vaccination is maybe a good weaponry to prevent the infections. Social vaccination means keeping social distancing, wearing masks, or even sanitizing your hands. All those things are good, but it is not by shutting down everything that that is not the way. And of course, even the governments have understood that by shutting down everything, locking down the economy, you are asking for greater troubles. So, a good news that 56% of the people have developed antibodies in the antibodies that will prevent them from infection. Jal Jeevan Mission to help revive urban water bodies. I discussed Jal Jeevan Mission in detail yesterday when I discussed the budget, so I am not going any further. So, in the pipeline, as of October 2018, 40.9% of the urban household had piped water connection, which acts as the principal source of drinking water in their homes. Top and bottom 5 states, they are Uttarakhand 76%, 72.6%, J&K and J&K Union Territory 69.3%. Okay, please take note of this. Jal Jeevan Mission is a flagship program of the government, and government is spending a lot of money on Jal Jeevan Mission, very important. I am not spending too much time on this because I explained it in detail. All these figures that are given here were explained in detail yesterday. ECT fiasco, the East Container Terminal in Sri Lanka. Look, very important. Indian diplomacy is at test. You know that Chinese influence in Sri Lanka is going up. So India is very concerned about it. In a flurry of meetings, a day after Sri Lanka backed out of the agreement with India and Japan, Sri Lanka backed out of its agreement with India and Japan to develop the East Container Terminal at Colombo port. India and Japan agreed with Sri Lanka to develop ECT. That was done it was in 2019 May that India and Japan agreed to develop the Eastern Terminal Port in Colombo, East Container Terminal Port in Sri Lanka. And the agreement was that 51% of the stake will be held by Sri Lanka and the balance 49% will be held by Japan and India together. But all of a sudden Sri Lanka backed out of the agreement unilaterally. Now the Indian diplomatic leadership is in full force in Sri Lanka to convince the government. Sri Lankan government met the Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahindra Rajapaksa and Foreign Minister. The thrust of Indian envoy's message to Sri Lanka was that Colombo must adhere to commitments in the tripartite agreement of May 2019 to jointly develop strategic terminal with Sri Lankan Ports Authority SLPA holding 51% stake for India and Japan. Sri Lankan Ports Authority will hold 51% and the balance stake will be held jointly by India and Japan. It is from this agreement that Sri Lanka unilaterally withdrew. Social media issues our concern center. Concerns about information technology and law relating to social media intermediaries fall within the domain of Parliament and central government. The Delhi Assembly, or for that matter any state assembly, has no jurisdiction over such issues, the centre told the Supreme Court. So it is about a matter of concern. It is about the issues with the Facebook and other social media. We know the tussle. So the government of India says that no state has got any authority over the social media regulations. It is a domain of the central government and it is an item in the central list. That is what the government intends to say. Listen, the centre through Solicitor General was making its submissions in a plea filed by senior Facebook official Ajit Mohan, who has questioned the role and jurisdiction of the Delhi Legislative Assembly's Peace and Harmony Committee to compel him to testify before it in connection with the Delhi riots and Facebook breach of privilege action. The Delhi government, the assembly has summoned Ajit Mohan, who is the Facebook authority, and he was reprimanded and he was asked to be summoned in front of the Harmony Committee, but he was questioning this particular thing, the authority of the Delhi government to summon, Delhi Assembly to summon him, and this was questioned in the Delhi High Court, and as against this plea the central government has given a submission that no state government legislative assembly has got any authority and it is up to the central government to decide. That is the essence of things. Myanmar's generals tightened control after seizing power. I have already told you about this. Myanmar's generals were in firm control on Tuesday after a surgical coup that saw democracy heroine Aung San Suu Kyi detained. Although her party issued a demand she be released and global outrage built over the power grab. The power was grabbed in a single shot and in a single move in Myanmar, and the president Wilmant and the state councillor, the Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi, both were put under house arrest. LIC IPO likely after October, BPCL or Air India stake sale by September. The government proposed to mobilize 1,75,000 crore, 1,75,000 crore rupees in the current budget, and government proposes to sell its equities in LIC, a very strategic decision taken by the government, that LIC, insurance sector, is still all the government under the firm control of the government. Major insurance companies, either the LIC or the GIC companies, are under the government. Privatization has never taken place in the insurance sector. Of course, private people can work can operate in the insurance sector, but the government companies, LIC or GIC, their 100% stakes are still with the government. But with this budget, the government has decided to sell its stake in LIC and one of the GIC companies, and of course BPCL and Air India were already up for sale. So government is waiting for the markets to get revived so that it will fetch maximum amount through the sale of their assets in LIC and other companies. We have to wait and see how much stake of LIC will be sold. We require more clarity. So what is the minimum that the government will keep? Why, before selling its stake in LIC, the government should seek permission from the parliament. A constitution amendment may be required before LIC stakes can be sold. Second question, for not towing the line with RBI diktats, RBI imposed PCA framework upon many banks including a few public sector banks. PCA stands for what? Is it proper, perpetual, prompt, permanent or perceptible? Oh, thank you Ms. Kushbu for the comment. For not towing the line with RBI diktats, RBI imposed PCA framework upon many banks including a few public sector banks. Of course, PCA is not a new thing. Okay. A few more responses may make me happy. Please do send. My dear students, please do send your replies. Is it proper, perpetual, prompt, permanent or perceptible? What is PCA? PCA stands for prompt corrective action. So if those banks that come under prompt corrective action, there will be restrictions on fresh lending, there will be restrictions on expansion of branches, they cannot recruit new people. So it is a kind of an arm twisting measure by the Reserve Bank of India to toe the line with its diktats. Name the public sector bank that is not under PCA framework of RBI presently. There are a few banks, public sector banks, that are under PCA now, and the question is, name the bank which is not. Yes, I am not waiting for your answers to come. It is the Union Bank of India. IOB, Central Bank and UCO Bank are under the PCA framework of RBI presently. So what our answer is Union Bank. Union Bank is not under PCA now, but all of the banks. Indian Overseas Bank may come out of PCA framework very soon, says its officials. IOB, two others may exit PCA by March, says Debashish Panda. Finance Ministry expects the remaining 3 public sector banks to be out of RBI's prompt corrective action framework in 2 months as their financial health has improved. When their financial health deteriorates, the Reserve Bank of India's concern will go up, and they may go for arm-twisting measures to force the banks to toe the line. As I told you, they would not be allowed to recruit people, they will not be allowed to start new branches, or they will not be allowed to give fresh lending. So banks will be under real pressure to improve their financial performance, and they may toe the line. So this is a good news for those banking sector job aspirants also, because last year these banks could not recruit, but once they come out of the prompt corrective action framework of RBI, they will be able to expand branches in India, and they will be able to recruit, they will be able to go for good recruitment, a good number of recruitment. You see, the success of any organization would depend on having an excellent mix of experience and fresh blood. So if a bank cannot recruit fresh people, they cannot remain young. So remaining young is very important for any organization to really grow. The fourth question, a runaway to a billion opportunities is the theme of Aero India 2021. The event is celebrated in the city of, where is Aero India 2021 conducted? Yes, the answer is Bangalore. It is traditionally conducted in Bangalore. Aero India show is conducted in Bangalore. The fifth question, Youth Abhyas, the joint military exercises will be held in Rajasthan by India and which nation? Is it USA, Israel, Great Britain, Australia, or Russia? With which country that India will be conducting a joint military exercises in Rajasthan? The answer is USA. The first option, USA. It is in USA that India is going to conduct a joint military exercise which is titled Youth Abhyas. Sixth question, the Ramsar Convention is aimed at protecting tiger. There are 42 Ramsar sites in India, 42 Ramsar sites in India. So the Ramsar agreement is to protect wetlands. Thank you very much, my dear students, for the kind attendance of all of yours. Please make sure that you go through the budget presentation of yesterday. That is very important for all the upcoming examinations, and all these questions that we discussed will be available in the Udyog Seva app, in the daily Gyan session of the Udyog Seva app. All these questions will be there, so you may watch them frequently so that it will get stuck to your mind. That is very important for the examination too. Read not just the question and answers, read even the explanations that I give. That will be of great help to you, I am sure. So at 3 o'clock we shall meet again with a question paper on either English, QA or reasoning. I am sure that these presentations help you. I am very confident of that. So please ensure your participation for the 3 o'clock program also. I request all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and encourage us by liking our Facebook page. Please join us in all the social media platforms of ours. Thank you very much for the viewership. Thank you very much once again. Have a good day.